You're surrounded by people right now. Maybe you are on a train, pressed shoulder to shoulder with strangers who do not look up. Maybe you're scrolling through a feed filled with faces you technically know. Maybe you're standing in a room full of laughter, holding a drink, and you feel quietly, specifically, in a way that is hard to explain, completely alone. That feeling has a name. But the real answer to where it comes from is far stranger than you think. It starts with a number. In 1992, a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar published research that changed the way scientists understand human social life. He had been studying the brains of primates, comparing the size of the neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex social reasoning, against the average group size each species lived in. The correlation was almost perfect. The bigger the neocortex, the bigger the stable social group an animal could maintain. Then he applied that formula to humans. The number he got was 150. Not 10,000, not a billion. 150. That is the cognitive ceiling your brain can actually handle. The maximum number of people you can know well enough to maintain a genuine, reciprocal, meaningful relationship with at any given time. Beyond that threshold, the brain's social processing system begins to overwhelm itself. The names blur. The histories blur. The emotional investment thins out until it becomes something more like recognition than relationship. That number is now called Dunbar's number. And here is the important part. It has not changed. Not in 10,000 years of civilization. Not in 200 years of industrialization. Not in 30 years of the internet. Your brain is still running on the same social hardware your ancestors used when they lived in small roving bands on the African savanna. The device has upgraded. The operating system has not. So what happens when you place a 150-person brain inside a city of 10 million? Something breaks. Not loudly. Not all at once. Quietly, structurally, in ways you feel but cannot always name. And you feel it most precisely in the moments that are supposed to feel the opposite. The concert, the party, the crowded street, the platform with 20,000 followers, and a notification sound that never stops. Think about the last time you walked through a busy city block. Dozens of faces moved past you in the span of a minute. None of them looked at you. None of them knew your name. Your brain processed each one automatically, registering their trajectory, their approximate age, whether they posed any threat, and moved on. Efficient, unconscious, fast. But underneath all of that efficient processing, an older system was doing something else entirely. A system that was not built for streets and strangers. A system that was built for recognition. For the specific warmth of seeing a familiar face inside a group of 150. For the moment someone who knows your history and your name and your particular walk looks up from across the clearing and acknowledges that you exist. That system ran its scan, and it came back empty, and it logged the entire experience, the entire crowded block, as social absence. This is not a metaphor. Researcher John Cacioppo spent over 2 decades at the University of Chicago studying what happens inside the body during loneliness. Not loneliness as a mood, not as an emotion, but as a measurable biological state. What he found was striking. When you feel socially disconnected, your brain activates the same neural pain pathways that fire when you experience physical injury. The anterior cingulate cortex, the region involved in processing hurt, lights up during social exclusion the exact same way it lights up when you touch a hot stove or twist an ankle. Your nervous system does not distinguish between being cut and being left out. Both register as damage. Both demand a response. Why would evolution build you that way? Why would it make social rejection hurt like a wound? Because for the vast majority of human history, that is exactly what rejection was. If the group stopped including you, if the tribe moved on and left you behind, you did not survive. Not for long. No single person, outside the group's protection, could last against predators, cold, starvation, or injury without help. The group was the survival mechanism. Being excluded from it was a biological emergency. So natural selection made sure that social disconnection hurt badly enough to force a correction. The sting of being left out was your early warning system. It was supposed to make you run back and fix whatever had broken before the situation became fatal. That alarm is still running. Right now. In you. Every time you feel alone in a room full of people, what you are actually feeling is a 200,000-year-old survival signal misfiring inside a social world it was never designed for. And here's what makes it worse. The alarm was designed for a world where the cure was physically nearby. Your cousin, your childhood friend, your elder. The person who had known your face for 20 years was sitting 30 feet away by the same fire. You felt the sting of disconnection. You stood up, you walked over, you were seen, and the alarm turned off. The entire cycle, from pain to resolution, could happen in minutes. Today, the alarm fires, and the cure your nervous system is looking for does not exist anywhere it knows how to find it. You open your phone. You see messages, comments, likes, reaction buttons, follower counts climbing. Your rational mind says, look, this is connection. But your ancient brain runs its check and reports. No eye contact. No synchrony. No familiar face holding still long enough to actually register. No shared physical space. No breath in the same air. No one who will remember your expression in this moment tomorrow. And so the alarm stays on. It does not turn off. It runs as background noise beneath every scroll and every refresh and every conversation that happens through glass instead of skin. The more ways you have to reach people, the more alone you are becoming. That is not irony. It is a mismatch measured in millions of years. Consider what real connection actually does inside the body. Robin Dunbar followed up his group-size research with studies on the mechanisms of social bonding. What actually triggers the neurochemical responses that make two people feel genuinely close? The activities he identified were not what you would expect in 2026. They were not texting, not posting, not video calling. They were laughing together, real, physical, uncontrolled laughter, singing together, moving in physical synchrony, walking side by side, dancing, working in rhythm with another person's body. These activities, and almost exclusively these activities, reliably trigger the release of endorphins. Real endorphins. The kind that create what Dunbar calls a biochemical bond, a physical residue of closeness that the body carries forward. A like does not release endorphins. A comment does not release endorphins. A follower count does not release endorphins. Your brain is trying to run on a social diet that looks, on the surface, more abundant than anything any human being in history has ever had access to, and which contains, at the level of actual nourishment, almost nothing it can use. And then comes the part that makes this harder. Loneliness is not just a private experience. It spreads. Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler, researchers at Harvard and UC San Diego, tracked a social network of over 12,000 people across 32 years and found that loneliness moves through communities the same way a contagion does. If you feel chronically disconnected, the people at the edges of your network, people 2 or 3 social degrees away from you, people you barely know, become statistically more likely to feel disconnected too. The signal radiates outward beyond the person feeling it. It is not contained by the skin, which means the loneliness you are carrying in a crowded room is not entirely yours. Some of it belongs to the person next to you who also did not look up. Some of it belongs to the one in the corner laughing the loudest. Some of it belongs to the person across the city with the largest following and the most engagement and the least idea why none of it lands the way they thought it would. You're not broken. You're not defective. You are ancient hardware operating in an environment it was never designed to process. The confusion you feel is not a character flaw. It is an engineering problem. But here is what the hardware can still do. It knows how to recognize a face it has seen more than once. It knows how to synchronize its breathing with another body sitting close. It knows how to release the chemistry of belonging when someone says your name in a room and looks at you when they say it. That system is fully intact. It is not gone. It has not been damaged by overexposure or obsoleted by screens. It is waiting exactly where it has always been for conditions it can actually work with. John Cacioppo, before he died in 2018, made one final finding that stayed with everyone who read it. He found that the most effective intervention against chronic loneliness was not sweeping social change, not a new platform or a government program or a prescribed amount of daily social activity. It was one high-quality interaction per day, one conversation where both people were genuinely present with each other. One moment, just one, of feeling truly seen by another human being who actually intended to see you. Not 150 people, not a crowd. One, because that is how the original system actually worked. Not in a constant flood of stimulation, not in endless togetherness, but in small, specific, repeated moments of real recognition. Someone handing you something and your fingers touching. Someone sitting beside you without any need to fill the silence. Someone saying your name in the dark because they remembered it and meaning it. The world today is louder than it has ever been. More faces, more voices, more channels, more ways to broadcast your existence into an enormous, accelerating space that rarely sends anything back that the body actually recognizes as real. And underneath all of it, in every scrolling feed, in every crowded platform, in every event packed with people in the same room, not quite looking at each other, the same signal is running, on the same frequency, in the same ancient part of the brain that has been asking the same question for 200,000 years. Does anyone here know me? You felt that today, standing in the middle of everything, surrounded by everyone, feeling the specific texture of being alone in a crowd. That feeling has a name, but it also has an answer. And the answer is not more connection. It is not a larger network or a louder presence or a better algorithm. It is one person, one face, one quiet moment of being genuinely seen. That is what your brain has been looking for all along. And it turns out, even now, even in this world, it is closer than you think.